Chapter 39, Missing. The sun rose and shed light on what Roscuro and Megariso had done, and finally Despereaux awoke. But alas, he awoke too late. I haven't seen her, Louise was shouting, and I tell you, I wash my hands of her. If she's missing, I say good riddance to bad rubbish. Despereaux sat up. He looked behind him. Oh, his tail! Gone! Given over to the knife, and where the tail should be, nothing but a bloody stub. And more foul play! Gregory dead! Shouted Cook. Poor old man, that rope of his broken by who knows what, and him lost in the dark and frightened to death because of it, it's too much. Oh no, whispered Despereaux. Oh no, Gregory is dead. The mouse got to his feet and began the long climb down from the shelf. Once he was on the floor, he stuck his head around the door of the pantry and saw Cook standing in the center of the kitchen, wringing her fat hands. Beside her stood a tall woman jangling a ring of keys. That's right, said Louise. All the king's men was down there searching for her in the dungeon, and when they come back, who do they have with them? They have the old man, dead. And now you tell me that Meg is missing and I say who cares? Despereaux made a small noise of despair. He had slept too long. The rat had already acted. The princess was gone. What kind of world is it, Miss Louise, where princesses are taken from right under our noses and queens drop dead, and we cannot even take comfort in soup? And with this, Cook started to cry. Shh, said Louis. I beg you, do not say that word. Soup, shouted Cook. I will say it. No one can stop me. Soup, soup, soup. And then she began to cry in earnest wailing and sobbing. There, said Louis. She put a hand out to touch Cook, and Cook slapped it away. It will be all right, said Louis. Cook brought the hem of her apron up to wipe at her tears. It won't, she said. It won't be all right ever again. They've taken our little darling away. There ain't nothing left to live for without the princess. Despereaux was amazed to have exactly what was in his heart spoken aloud by such a ferocious, mouse-hating woman as Cook. Louise again reached out to touch Cook, and this time Cook allowed her to put an arm around her shoulder. What will we do? What will we do? Wailed Cook. And Louise said, Shh, there. Alas, there was no one to comfort Despereaux, and there was no time anyway for him to cry. He knew what he had to do. He had to find the king. For having heard Roscuro's plan, reader, Despereaux knew that the princess was hidden in the dungeon. And being somewhat smarter than Megariso, he sensed the terrible unspoken truth behind Miss Roscuro's words. He knew that Meg could never be a princess, and he knew that the rat, once he captured the pea, would never let her go. And so the small mouse, who had been dipped in oil, covered in flour, and relieved of his tail, slipped out of the pantry and past the weeping ladies. He went to find the king. So in this chapter, we already know that Megariso was on her way to the dungeon with Roscuro and Princess P, and they want to lock the princess down in the dungeon. Looks like Cook and Louise are very sad, and they're crying when they hear about this terrible news. And Despereaux is trying to save the princess, but his plan is to go find the king first.